almost. You ever get that random urge at 6 o'clock at night to dig up a tree? Nah, probably not. Hey, what's up, Garden Friends? Jeff here. It's over your mom. Great. Oh my gosh, it's my neighbors right over the fence being watched. That's fine. I don't have time to care. It is time to get this Japanese maple planted up that you can't see. It's behind the dolphins whose balls I need to clean. Those got dirty. It's probably a better way I could have said that other than I need to clean the dolphins' balls. Well, that's what's happening. I figured it'd be a shame to not film it. The whole process of my misery. I thought this was going to be a lot harder to get out of the ground. An old drip line in here. I wonder what that's attached to. Hopefully... Oh, okay. It's attached to an old line. It doesn't matter. I got distracted. Do my best to not disturb the Manfredas too much, but I think I'm probably just going to have to replant those, and that's okay. Honeycrisp. Apple Espalier. It just hasn't thrived up here. It's only been 3 years, but that's long enough. It's done a lot of growing, but I think it's just too exposed. The winds and everything, they're too strong up here. I never get any fruit out of it. The storms blow the flowers off every spring, so it's gonna go. Oh shoot, what is this? I've looked at it so many times. Dang it, well, I mean, it's only 3. It's just 3 apples. I'm sure there's a few more than that if those 3 are there, but I still don't think the juice is worth the squeeze here. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm gonna put this somewhere else. I don't know where yet. For the time being, because it's late, I'm going to drop it down here to keep its roots shaded, dump a bunch of mulch on top of the root ball, and keep it nice and moist. It's supposed to be pretty rainy here for the next several days. It's a good time to dig a tree up and a good time to plant a tree. I don't actually know if I'm going to get the Japanese maple in the ground tonight because it is getting kind of dark and mosquitoes are getting pretty bad. But you know what I mean. We're working on it, making progress. Okay, I think this might be it. This might be the final scoop. You know, that satisfying feeling when you've broken through the last root that's being stubborn? That wasn't it. I'm not there yet. Here. I think I got it. Maybe. This is a very difficult space to work in. Would you get out of my crotch, please? Because, well, there's a ledge right here. There isn't really anywhere to stand back there. Yeah, I think that's out. Okay. I should have waited till the irrigation was over. The whole point was we're supposed to have a lot of rain. This should be fine. It's going to be a setback, but I don't think this is going to kill it. Not a lot of root action going on either. So, best to be moving this. And to remember that the Japanese maple is going to get set up on drip. So we'll get some better rooting out of the Japanese maple when it gets in the ground. Soil's not looking too bad. It's definitely dry. This is a very dry area. But that's what, I have a drip line right here. So as soon as the irrigation's up and running, which will hopefully be in a few days, that won't be an issue anymore. I have been working organics into this area for several years. So you can see it's looking decent. The yard is normally clay. But in the areas where I've been working at, getting some better stuff going on. Need to get some more organics in here though to hold in some more moisture. I have some soil conditioner. Never tried it before. I stuck in a hole. I put some bamboo in. Maybe it would work for this too. Don't mind the soil acidifiers just because I figured since I was going to be up here, I may as well spread some of that onto these hydrangeas up here because they're in full bud. I should have done it like, I don't know, probably a good 3 weeks ago. Might be too late. I think we're at 6.5, 6.4 up here. It's not quite enough to get the blue on the flowers. I want to be blue or, a nice purple. But the pink ones, those are boring. Okay, got all my supplies ready. Got the auger. So I need to dig this hole out much, much, much bigger. Have some of this soil conditioner. I don't think there's actually anything special about this, to be honest, but it says that it helps with moisture holding capacity. It's the only reason I'm giving it a try. It's just a premium product that's formed with all natural organic plant materials. Material compost, processed aged forest products. I mean, it sounds to me like it's a bag of compost, which is great. That's what we need. Have some biotone starter, land and sea, compost, and yeah, I mean, you can probably get it from this point on, right? I'm just gonna get up there with my auger and try and make that hole bigger, and if I can get it big enough, then we'll proceed forward and get that Japanese maple in the ground. Okay, have a look in here. This is a rare opportunity to see all of the gravel that I've talked about for many, many years about how this area is all gravel. You see that? See it? You see all the gravel? It's another reason the soil dries out very fast, because it's got a lot of gravel in it. But nice thing about that auger, it's able to bring some of that up to the surface, loosen things up. Now I can very, very easily get that stuff out of there and get some real soil down into this area. Trying to dig this out as big as I can. Want it to be larger than the root ball of the maple, and definitely needs to be the right depth. Do not want this plant, sticking up from the ground at all. Don't want it to be planted too deep either. I mean, it can be a little bit high. Planting high with trees is not always a bad idea, but this is not a spot where drainage is an issue, so being planted high really is not the main priority here. You know what I mean? This is some nice dirt made here over the years. Nice and dark. All right, I'm gonna keep digging, get this thing in the ground. Should probably also mention that I'm making sure to dig this down extra deep because I want to get a layer of that soil conditioner in above all this clay and gravel. That should be good right there. How's the view? Hopefully good. I couldn't get over that angle to see what's going on with the camera. Got to go over and get the compost that I'm adding back in here. I compost this entire area. It's an important thing to say, right? Because the drip line of the plant, which is where most of the root activity is going to be, it's going to be far outside this hole someday. So adding compost in here is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm just doing it really to help with moisture retention and get some stuff above that gravel. Ultimately though, you want to make sure that your compost and everything extends out past the drip line of the plant. About, I'd say, I usually go about 6 to 8 inches around the plant, and that usually does the trick. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, this is a Bloodgood Japanese maple. Had a great deal on this guy. It's perfect for this spot because it's nice and big, but it has a small enough root ball to work with. See, I can work with this. It's this difficult spot to dig in. I don't want anything too intense. I'm just going to lightly loosen that up. Make sure that the bottom isn't too terribly wrapped, which it might be. Yeah. You're doing a lot of loosening with this. Sometimes when they're like this, I'll take a knife and cut some excess through. I don't have a knife on me, so I'm going to go through and make sure that's loosened. Right? Just trying to break it up so that the whole thing's not going to keep spinning in a circle. That will kill the tree eventually. So this is the time to get in there and get that nice and loose. Yeah, you see that? Is that satisfying? I don't know if you can even see it on the camera. Hopefully you can. There we go. See? There's texture. The roots are out. That should be good. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, or I've been waiting for, that I'm very excited to get over with. Go ahead and get this guy down to the hole and make sure it's facing the right directions. Oh, that depth is perfect. That's the perfect depth. Yeah. Good. So I was able to get just enough stuff underneath it and dug out enough to get stuff underneath. That's what I meant to say. I want to make sure that's positioned properly. I think I like the way that looks. Should probably go down there and look and see what it looks like from down there in my garbage heap. I actually ended up twisting it because I like the view of the branches and everything from this direction better. You get to see the nice pattern on the trunk. You need to straighten this out. That is not straight. Definitely do not want to. I guess none of that matters, right? I haven't backfilled it yet. Grab my shovel here and start on that. I've blended as much of the native soil in with that composting mix as I could. About 50-50 is normally good. I mean, just sticking with your native soil, if that's an option, that's generally the way to go and the best thing to do. Oh, I forgot, I wanted to add more biotone to this before I finish filling it in, because that biotone that I had in here was way down the bottom of that hole, and all right, that's going to be a thing. Wind is going to be a thing. I want some around the mid area of the root ball too. All right, almost done here. Did smash up a few plants in the process, but they'll be okay. These Manfredas, they're tough, and I'm not going to get upset about some branches being snapped on the salvia over there. Don't need to do that with the shovel. Break up the wood. Going to bring this out so that there's a nice ring around everything. Doesn't have to have the ring. It's kind of an old school thing. Main thing is that the soil wasn't up higher than it already was on this trunk. Gently tap it down because the soil is really light. It's not something you would normally do, but in this situation with all the wind, I think it's a good idea. Okay, went across the yard and grabbed the hose. Need to give this a really nice drink. You could probably tell from what you saw with all that gravel that there really would not have been much point in filling in the hole with water, because I think it all just would have rushed out. In fact, I should probably take this head off of here. And yep, that's what I was thinking. See how the wind's moving that around already? Probably going to need to stake this, since it's getting planted up during stormy season. But, you know, I mean, it's always stormy season in the Midwest, but they die down a lot towards the end of June. They're not as frequent. Still have plenty of them, just not as many. There we go. Gonna give that a nice big drink. I'll keep my eyes peeled for a stake, because you can't expect the plant to take root all that well if it's being moved around. I know there's some people who theorize that they root in better if they have some stress to go through. I think that's true to an extent, but you saw how small the root ball is on this plant, and in just a moment I'll step back so you can all see what it looks like planted in this spot. It's beautiful, but it's very big compared to that root ball. I didn't do a good job of showing you the tree, just the root ball, but it's been in a lot of my other videos, so hopefully you know what it looks like. It's a nice sized tree for such a tiny little pot. This would not have been possible if it weren't something in a, I mean, it's not a tiny pot, but I think that's a 20-gallon squat, which is a decent size, but you know what I mean, right? Conventional 20, 25-gallon one costs a fortune, and two, it just wouldn't have gone in here very well. I am also, now that I got a good amount of water into that hole, going to put some root stimulator in there. After I filled, I forgot to put water in the jug with the root stimulator. Also, need to go through and find some mulch somewhere. I know I have some mulch around here, enough to get around the base of this plant. If you're having trouble with drainage, or lack thereof, I should say, really one of the best things you can do is mulch and make sure that there's enough organic matter in that mix that you have around the plant, mixed in, tilled in with your native soil. About 50% is usually good. And I think earlier I said something wrong. I know that what I meant to say was 6 to 8 inches, maybe a foot down. Amending is what I aim for. That's what I did up here in this area. That's why you have to go a little bit more than a foot down till you get to that gravel. But still, it's best to try and spread out beyond the drip line. Root stimulator is just going to help get this going faster. You can see we've got a nice puddle forming in there, which is fine. I guarantee you it won't last long. A few minutes and that's going to be completely gone. I think it's starting to go away now. My main thing is I would like for that water to pass through fairly quickly, because we're supposed to have some storms rolling in. I don't want this tree blown over already. Okay, you ready? There it is. Isn't that beautiful up there? I think that looks so much nicer than that apple tree. Oh, the Bloodgood. Decent sized Japanese maple. I had one in my front yard, exact same light exposure, and it was, let's say, a good 18 feet tall. It had some kind of disease that had to get cut down. Remember, I had an arborist come out and look at it, and they had to get it out of there. This one right here, the whole idea is have it come up and fill in this big gap with that gorgeous red foliage. I really like the Bloodgoods, partially for their size and their cost. They're very common, so tend to be more affordable. Emperor is very similar. It doesn't flush out quite as early in the year as the Bloodgood does. It's one of the reasons that I like the Bloodgood so much is because it flushes out really early in the season. And I like that. And I just really like the intricate nature of all the branching inside of a Japanese maple. All of them, not just the Bloodgood. They're just really calming plants, and I love that red foliage. So imagine, you know, several years from now, the space filled in with that big round habit, those red leaves, really great fall color, and spring. I mean, just really all year round, nice color. Winter, it's kind of meh. They don't have colorful bark or anything, but they have very interesting movement in those branches. That's something, you see it in a lot of Japanese maples, but the Bloodgoods, if you can get them with a nice shape on them, they are stunning when they mature because of the intricacy of the way the branches are on the inside. I've been looking for a new Bloodgood for several years and just have not been able to find one that I really liked. And that's largely because usually I was finding that it was just a stick, maybe a few $100. You know, when I say a stick, I mean, you know, maybe a healthy looking plant, but just a single lead with some stuff up top, like a lollipop. That's not what I wanted. I wanted something like this. I saw it at the nursery. I said, I have to have that, and the price for this was so good. It was being sold as a 5 to 6 foot. Something it was last year's stock, which is even better because it means it's been through the winter in my area, extra sturdy. Bloodgoods are pretty sturdy, regardless, so that's not something I usually worry about too much. It is going to be more exposed in the spot, though, so that's something to keep in mind. I may be putting in some very slender evergreens along the back end of this fence. Been thinking about hedging it up with some very narrow yews or something like that, and that'll help with wind exposure. But it's not typically something we have to worry about here with the Bloodgoods. Something to think about, though, with this really quick draining soil, dry winter winds, could cause more dieback than I was used to in the front yard where the soil didn't drain as fast. So a good heavy mulch, not piled up around the trunk, but a nice heavy layer of mulch help holding that moisture. Maybe have to come out here if I can remember and throw a few cans of water on it, maybe every, I don't know, 3 weeks or so during the winter time, just to be safe. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. At least for, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years, try and do that, because I really want this to spread those roots out and get nice and established. Here's that drip line I was talking about. As far out as the branches go, straight down, that's where the water drips. That's your drip line. Things will be more dry underneath the base of the tree, right? Because the branches, they catch all that water when it's falling down. So the drip line is the outside. So really good to make sure that you've amended more than right what's underneath the tree, right? Right underneath the tree. It's helpful in the beginning to get them going, but I want to make sure that it goes out a ways so that the roots can actually access it, because the roots are not going to stay directly underneath the tree. Root depth varies from place to place, so I can't really speak much on that. That's why I said like 6 inches to a foot down is usually a good measure if you're trying to amend your soil. That's usually what I aim for if I'm amending. Like I said, just try and go 50-50 if I can. It's not always possible. Compost and stuff, it can add up. A lot of my leaves are maple and oak, and I don't have a leaf shredder anymore, so they don't break down quite as quickly, so it can be harder to use them to make compost. But store-bought compost is fine. That's what I use over here for most of the time, and sometimes I just use leaf mold and, you know, whatever was around that had broken down. It shouldn't be recognizable, right? Want it to be all the way broken down. That's a different conversation, but, well, I guess I'm done with it, so we've already had it. There you go. Another thing about the Bloodgoods is I have never really needed to prune on these very much, or prune on other people's very much. Sometimes I like to limb them up from the bottom, so if this gets really full from about right there and down, there and down, then I do like to limb them up so things can be more open on the underside. Right now, this is adding a ton of privacy. That was an issue with the espalier, which is fine, by the way. I'm going to put a little burlap around that root mass. It'll probably drop its leaves and throw a fit, but it'll get into the ground within a day or so. I mean, ideally today, but I'm tired. It's getting dark and I'm hearing thunder, so maybe not. You can tell I don't really care about it, but I don't want it to die. So this guy right here, though, should be good, right? Gonna get some mulch. And I think it looks a lot better than the espalier, which really didn't add much privacy because, you know, you can see right through an espalier. I kind of wish I could have planted it over maybe another 2 feet, but it wouldn't be centered very well between the 2 pines if I had done that. But it would have done a better job at hiding the neighbor's deck. From right here, it's doing a great job. They grow fast. The Bloodgoods, they're quick growers. It's another thing that I absolutely love about a Bloodgood. For Japanese maple, they grow quickly, so it will only be a few years until it's come out. I'd say another probably... what do you think? About 3 to 5 years, I expect to be out at least another 2 to 3 feet on the outside diameter. It does have a lot of establishing to do with those roots, though, so maybe a little bit longer. Glad to have that done. I think that is the number 2 most dreaded project that I've had in the back of my mind for this year, just because the ground up there can be so incredibly difficult to dig in. But that auger just made a world of difference, and I was thinking that the espalier was going to be a nightmare to dig, which it wasn't easy. I worked on that for a while before I picked up the camera, but considering it was an apple tree, had been in the ground for, this is its 3rd year, not terrible. It had spread some roots out in both directions. I had to chop at them, but not a ton, but enough. So it was like, well, it wasn't unhealthy, but wasn't really thriving either. So that's why it's probably a good thing I dug it up so I could actually see what's going on right there. So I need to add in some more of the organics and everything, and then I should put some mulch on here and be certain to get a drip run to this thing when the irrigation's up and running. I already got the line right there. Just need to pop on ahead and pull it right over. Here's my #1 dreaded project. Gonna be getting this godforsaken bamboo out of these containers. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. I can't break the containers. I love them too much, so I'm probably gonna have to come in there with some really sharp knives and like cut it into quarters and try and dig them out. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna figure it out. That's not happening in this video. No freaking way. I'm done. Whenever I know we have several days of rain coming up in the forecast, I like to make sure to get things in the ground. The more things are in the ground, the more I can relax while it's raining outside and go, oh, all these plants are getting nice, clean rain. You know, clean rain, considering our climate. You know what I mean? It's the rain. It's better than anything you can do with a hose, so that's nice. Helps us establish them. Next video is supposed to be fairly cool too, and the ground's nice and warm. So that's gonna be great for the tree also. Okay, that's good. I'm done. I've done a lot of planting today. That will have been in other videos. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for hanging out. What are your favorite types of Japanese maples? Tips, tricks, suggestions, always appreciated. Why did you just bark at nothing directly behind me? I didn't like that, Turbo. Why would you startle me? There's nothing. It's just me. It's just me talking. I trust his ears more than mine. If I could, as I was saying, I would fill this garden with Japanese maples and hostas, but well, I'm not going to. Oh, there will probably be more Japanese maples happening, though. And I have plenty of hostas left to go in the ground. All right, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.